Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you all?
Well, I have the beach in my background because that's where I want to be. I'm so
Yeah,
sick of this cold.
looks a little breezy. Got the waves coming in. That's nice.
Yeah, man, that's where I want to be.
Oh, that's where I want to be right now too.
Mm.
I've been right at the moment. I'm trying to stop my head from spinning. It's
Well,
all, it's all good though. I had a an amazing time at my work event for the trade show that we went to at Mohegan Sun Casino and Resort.
I
Somebody's got
know.
to do it. But we
Mm,
had I think they're the biggest attendance ever. I had a 2 hour presentation
mm.
for the mastery of heating and automation. And that went pretty well. I had nearly 200 people attending, and it
Whoa,
was standing room only. So it was intense.
good audience.
Yeah, it was. And I may show a picture here and there. And it's funny because you look at everybody's faces and they're
Hmm.
like, well, at least they're not sleeping. Well, maybe that guy is, but
Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. How
he's
about
probably
yourself?
I'm
in the
doing
middle of
about
6 or 7 things himself.
I'm doing 38 things right now.
See?
Yeah, okay.
No,
Yeah.
that's every day, sweetheart. So that
Yeah,
doesn't change. I
yeah.
just that's
I
the
hear.
way we live.
I know. I know. I
I
know.
I let the cat out of the bag the other day in our group that I'm trying to work with a couple local landscapers and whatnot. I'm trying to create a weekend warrior system for people that want to do their stuff themselves because I'm that person. So it actually started soccer season last year. One of the guys uh, I've known for years, but he's sick of doing landscaping, but that's all he knows. And I said, well, listen, there's other ways to make money with what you do. So we're in the process of planning how we're going to create a course around, say, walkways or retaining walls or water features. And people can pick what they want. Okay, we want to do a water feature, so I'm going to pay, $250 to learn how to do this so that I don't have to pay thousands of dollars for somebody else to do it. So we're in the starting stage of it. We're talking about videoing and doing stuff like that. Obviously, that's going to be, I'm only going to get so far, and then I'm going to have to pay somebody to do some editing and stuff. I don't know anybody, but that's where we're at with that. But I have so many other things going on between business, raising three kids. It doesn't end.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Man.
That's life. That's the way it is. And it's so funny that Alan talks about, selling stuff for swimming pools and whatnot. And it's a small world because when I was a teenager, that's what I did. I sold swimming pool. I started selling swimming pools at 14 years old. I couldn't even sign the contracts. Other people had to sign the contracts. And then I installed swimming pools and pool tables is winter work. I did that for 6, 8 years. So it's funny how things come full circle. No
Yeah.
questions asked. But
Yeah.
no, I actually 20 years ago, Jody and I almost bought a pool store in our community. Uh, it was somebody who I had worked for, but he had his store as one business and then his installation business was another, but he didn't show that on the books. So we couldn't actually get the loan for the business itself because there wasn't enough on the books.
Hmm.
See.
Otherwise, I probably would own a pool store right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
But,
Wow.
but life goes on.
Yeah.
I've
And I'd
been
be
in
seeing
business for
you at some
years.
of these events.
Yeah, yeah. I just like the idea of entrepreneurship where I'm involved in so many different things that I enjoy that. But this year is a year to pick two or three, and that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you get too involved with 30 things, and you're doing a little towards each. Don't get me wrong, you are, but you're not taking that step forward. You're actually taking multiple steps back.
Right. And I feel that way sometimes as well, but you got
And,
to pick one or two things and focus on those things and then move on.
correct, correct. And I've always said this. I said this to Alan. I said I've always been the person who's not only owned the business, but done the business. And that's kind of where 2025 is changing. Like my Shirt Press Express that I own, I'm ultimately, hopefully by the end of the year, I'm not going to be doing the work. I'm going to still design everything, but I'm hoping to have other people do everything 100% for us.
There you go.
I'd rather be the owner, not the owner operator. So,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm heading with things, so that it leaves room to do other things.
Exactly. That's why we're in this, for time freedom.
Yes, ma'am. Hey, this is your show, Alan. This isn't my show.
That's okay because it, it does help others that are getting into this as well. Because the person that just works one job, and it may be 80, 90 hours, but maybe it's 60 hours, but they might work hard, they might not. Either way, they're going to come home and they're going to think they worked hard. They're going
Yeah.
to say, I deserve to crack a beer, sit on my couch, and relax because it's all coming again tomorrow. And then you go through that. And for me, it was always about every 3 months. I had this kind of feeling of being lost. And either you push through it and keep going, or you make a change. And I'm going to be 50 this year. And most of those years I pushed ahead and I worked harder to get ahead. And that's part of our story. That's part of our backstory and what brings us here. And then all of us have made the decision that I'm going to do something more. Not going to be easy. Maybe you didn't start right away, but we got into it. And you might not have gotten traction right away. You had trouble. And before you know it, we're still here because we know the only way you're going to fail is to quit.
Exactly.
And when you get to the point where you have so much invested and you've gotten far enough where you're kind of over that hump, you almost can't go backwards. But at the same time, you're at the point where you don't want to. So
Right.
you know it's going to work.
I want to say in this room right now with who we got in here, normally in group juice, like I'm one of the older ones.
Right.
I'm a baby in this group. You've got almost 7 years on me.
Right.
Jerry, I'm not even going there. You're 30, so you are the young one, so it's fine. And you've been around for a while. You and I have talked for a long time, so it's all good.
I will tell you that Jerry moves better than either of us.
Oh, without a doubt. No question.
You know that. I mean,
No
one,
question.
she owns a fitness studio. I mean, but still, I mean, she's fitness minded anyways.
Mhm.
And I've seen some of her videos and I'm like, I'm winded just watching it. I work out too, but it's
I don't.
room for improvement there. You got the maybe like the 12 ounce curl there. At least it's coffee,
Yeah,
not a beer,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't drink much beer. I'm
Yeah.
maybe 2 cases of beer a year. Maybe.
Nice. Yeah, back in my days, it'd be about a case of beer every 3 to 4 days.
Oh, well.
Alan, this invite you sent, Slido, what is that?
Yes. So I'm going to explain that. I sent you in the chat. There are 2 items. So Slido is a Q&A. So basically, if you go into it, I shared it, you go into it, you can type a question that maybe we can talk about later. So, if we're on a roll and something sparks in your mind, you can put it in there and we can get to it after.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't mean that you can't ask questions as we're going. But if it's something that's would throw us off, but it's on your mind, throw it in there.
Okay.
So I found it works well for that. And then afterwards, we can go back and address certain things. Or even if, you just had questions. Sometimes people bring questions coming into it. I'm like, I don't want to forget it, even though I have it written down here. I don't want to forget to ask it. So let me put it in there.
Okay.
So that one's there.
So I'll just open that and minimize it then.
Yeah, what I do is I have to open it and then I have to click the little square with the arrow pointing out of it to move it out. And then I put my chat open too, or else one's going to cover up the other one. So I found that to be a little bit tricky. So.
Okay. Say that again.
So when you open it up, you should have, it opens up on the side of your view, your gallery. You have an X where you can close it and then you can pop out. So it'll make its own screen if you hit that. And then you can go back and hit chat, and then chat will fill that space back. Because if you don't pop it out, the chat will just go over Slido. And then you open Slido and it goes over the chat. It's almost like one or the other.
Okay, gotcha.
So you just got to pop one out. That's it.
Okay.
And then the other part that I put here is our day 2 hands-on content creation. Okay. So it's a little bit different plan than I had originally, but the last couple of weeks I've kind of tweaked it. So it is editing the process that has worked for me and the process that I've taken from many other programs, and I created this.
All right, gotcha.
So on our day 1, I went over the plan. So I went over building your foundation. So working on that foundation and finding things to get that idea, how to research the idea, how
Mhm.
to plan your video. Maybe not everyone, but I would do at least one a week. Almost do like a flagship video once a week. And I know recently we've been talking about in like Josh and our other group that we've been talking about in Group Juice and Core and all that. Uh, they had the funnel hacking event just last week, and we want to talk about stories. We want to bring what got us here, not even necessarily just our pains, but everything that brought us here. There's even, 5 steps to your story that you can do. But starting with a backstory is really going to help people to know you. And that storytelling element is so important. We've come from a time of YouTube videos that are 15, 20 minutes long. People don't want that because they don't have time for that anymore. They want things maybe 2 or 3 minutes, even 60 to 90 seconds. And with doing that, we have to condense a lot of that information down. So creating a story will help with that and breaking it up in different points. So you'll see today, by the time we get off the call, the ultimate goal will be for, and I'll explain it further, but for next time, we're going to create a short video on our backstory. And that story is really what's going to separate you from everybody else. There are your verbal hooks, there's your text hooks, there's your visual hooks, so many things that can bring people to stop the scroll. But after that first 3 to 5 seconds, it still has to be interesting enough with editing and your content, what you're actually saying. So
Right.
that backstory is something that really makes you vulnerable. And of course, you don't have to share anything that you're not comfortable with because it's your business. It's you. It's your brand. It's whatever you want to release. It's whatever you want to put out there. But when you're vulnerable, you're talking to yourself 5 years ago or 6 months ago. So it's going to relate to somebody. So it's going to attract those certain people. And usually it's those people that you're going to vibe with, and they're going to vibe with you. So if you get to work together one-on-one at some point, then it usually works out. So I've seen more times it hasn't, but
Right.
we
Right.
try and filter, basically filtering it out. You've heard about with a filter, what is it? Top of funnel. You're basically addressing everybody. And then you go middle of funnel. So now you're talking to maybe those that are interested in fitness
Yeah.
or, weekend warrior kind of information. And then you get
Correct.
down to, okay, we're talking weekend warrior, but we're not talking, I'm going to hire a guy to do it. We're talking about, I'm going to do this myself, do it yourselfer. So now we're talking to that bottom person, that one that's really listening to you saying, okay, this guy does these projects every weekend. I'm going to see how he does it because I'm busy and I don't have time for that. But he says the same thing. So we'll get into that. But I'm basically going to go through, I'm going to first go over, I have some examples on some shots. And when I say shot, it's basically using your camera because most of us will just put the camera in front of us and we say, I have an important message and I'm going to put it out there. But what if we just use a few different angles and a few different techniques as we grow? Because as a beginner, it's overwhelming. And even myself, the videoing, the recording, filming part of it is newer getting into this stuff. And there's times I'm like, I feel like I'm shooting a movie or a TV show. And it'll get to the point where that's very easy. And I'll show some points and some examples of what I do and how I move the camera and then what I do with it. So I'll go through some of those shots. And again, so that link is there. That is shared to you, and that will tell you where to go. And it will also reference further Google Docs that I have on each section.
Okay.
And when I mention the plan, so last week was about the foundation, the plan, and
Mhm.
working on your topic, your research, your three-part system of having your hook, your body, and your CTA, your call to action, because we have to tell them what to do. Or they're going to watch it and they might like it and they might go to your next one, or they might just scroll again to the next one. And then they could say, oh, let me go back to that one to like it. I know I do that. I'll watch it and I'm like, oh, that was really cool. And I'll scroll on to the next one. I'm like, I feel bad. Let me go back and like it at least. But it'll give them a little more reason to dig deeper because you want them to binge your content. That is ideally what we want them to do. And being active in your content, after you post a video, you'll want to kind of pay attention to it for at least 10 minutes, but maybe even an hour. If somebody's reacting to it, you'll want to react right back to it if you're able to. There's times where I'm like, all right, I got like 10 minutes to get to my appointment and I just finished it and I'm going to post it now. And I'll do that and I'll be done. I'm like, all right, great. Or I could have waited till I got back and at least been accessible. So, but you need to get to that point and, kind of climb that mountain one step at a time. But first off, I wanted to go over a bit of our mindset. So I wanted to start off